Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
You're listening to a special edition of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, The Game Sports Show, live from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. Host Dave McCaig coming to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booyah! And it's time for the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to the show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or through the Scott Neeson YouTube channel, or through one of our social media pages at The Game Sports Show on Facebook, or at The Game Sports Show SSM through Instagram. I'm here live February the 26th, 2019 at Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill for our Tuesday edition. And here from Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill, we talk everything local in its majority with a little bit of professional teasing on the show, as listeners know. We did not have a show yesterday from the Wicked Sister, as we had to reschedule this up past Monday. We will have a show this upcoming Monday, though, live on Eagle 95.1. Myself, Scott Neeson, EJ Russell, and Butch Davis, bringing that among some hopeful guests as well, live from the Wicked Sister at 6 to 7 on air, 7 to 8 on the website and Podbean page. And as I mentioned here tonight, you may hear this live or you may hear the upload, but either way, I'm very happy you can join us for our Tuesday edition here from Icebreakers. And Icebreakers will be a Tuesday night show at its majority. Originally, it was going to be on Sundays, but we are going to have it on Tuesdays, just based on the schedule with local hockey and local sports in general. It seems it's more simple to have the show on Tuesdays. So here from Icebreakers, we'll be talking everything local, as I mentioned. Tomorrow from Sportscenter Bar and Grill for our usual Wednesday edition show will be a vacation day for the crew again tomorrow. We'll be back next week from Sportscenter Bar and Grill, myself, Jamie Antonello, and crew with Matt Primo, Justin Heichel, Dustin Grondin, the big staff that we have for our Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, will not be Sportscenter, but Thursday we will be at Northern Superior Brewing Company. Myself, Dane Hancho, and Justin Heichel will be there at 7:15 until approximately 8:15, doing a full reaction on the NHL trade deadline. And also, we will be a frequent schedule from Northern Superior Brewing Company, as we have no vacation days upcoming with that. As next week, that means it looks like we got it back to our full week that we haven't had in the last 3 weeks. So it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays will be all the shows with the Game Sports Show. So make sure, if you have any questions with the schedule, reach out to anyone on the crew through social media or comments below through the show. Now, without further ado, I'm going to bring the guy who's with me here tonight from Icebreakers. He puts in the odd shift here at Icebreakers. He's mostly known through his Sportscenter show. With me, through In the Pocket, the one and only, Jamie Antonello. Jamie, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Happy to be here. I mean, we'll talk a little local hockey. I'm always down. Brad's going to come on soon, so yeah, good to talk to you guys.
See, here on the Icebreakers edition, you have myself and Brad. We're spearing the forefront of the show. However, with Brad, who's been doing a lot of occurrences through the phone, he actually will be here live, as he is already here on location, as the Soo Thunderbirds are currently in action. They're playing against the Blind River Beavers right now, and they're up 2-1 right now in the second period, before we have Brad come up to discuss more in the game, as he'll be coming up in between the second and third period there. We'll be talking about, here on the first part of the show, we're going to give a full reminder of the local hockey in terms of the NOJHL, also high school hockey with Core Colts St. Mary's High School Finals, as well in terms of getting into the Soo Greyhounds and LSSU Lakers in the second part of the show with Brad. And then the third part of the show, myself and Jamie just kind of a little bit of a 5 to 7 minute discussion about the NHL trade deadline, just how we kind of felt about it, and tease what we're going to be talking about at its majority on Thursday. I know I have lots of opinions in terms of the trade deadline, some winners and some losers, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. It's just myself and Jamie just give you a little tease of what's going to be discussed between myself, Dane, and Justin on Thursday. So local hockey right now, kicking off the show and jumping right into it. We're going to talk about those Soo Thunderbirds right now. The Soo Thunderbirds last weekend had a very beautiful ceremony for Jerry Petingalo, one of my best friends. As I was right there live on the boards taking the pictures, uploaded a live
nice
Facebook live video on my Facebook page that I have it on right now, and that the Game Sports Show can be accessed through there as well. But you can go through my Facebook to watch that. I had many views on there. It's very beautiful. It's had Trevor Zachary's speech, Jerry's speech, and also the jersey revealing as they played Kirkland that night. They played Elliott Lake the night before, winning 4-2, as we mentioned, on Thursday. However, on Jerry Petingalo night, the Thunderbirds lost 2-1 to the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners. Thunderbirds, even some good teams, lose once in a while. But right now, as they're in the lead, as I mentioned, against Blind River, it was very beautiful. I got to give a shout out to Thunderbirds organization. It was amazing. It was long deserved as well. And Jerry's number has been retired for over a decade. The only number that's been retired with the Soo Thunderbirds at that time. Also was one of the first numbers retired in the NOJHL, and still, from what I understand from producer Ghost's findings, that he is the only number retired right now still in the NOJHL, and his name will hang at the John Rhodes Community Centre for the foreseeable future. And his jersey will be hung beside the late Michael Doan, who was also an ex-teammate of mine that same year that I was on the Thunderbirds, and Doan was an 8-year teammate of mine and also enemy in hockey, I like to say, as he was my nemesis in net. The guy knew exactly what I was shooting, so when I had him on the team, he was one of, if not the best goalies ever played with. So to have Doan and Petingalo in the stands, great job by the Thunderbirds this year. And like as I mentioned, going back to wrap up the Petingalo topic, it was beautiful. And you saw the Facebook Live thing. He rewrote the record book, Jerry did, with the Soo Thunderbirds. He still holds over 80% of the records with the Thunderbirds, and a lot of them are going to be very unbreakable, in my opinion. And you break it. Exactly.
Yeah, when you play that long, and I mean, it's going to be tough, especially when you're talking about junior hockey, right? Like,
yeah, but someone who was as talented as Jerry was.
For sure, 100%. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's... You get some guys, though, that end up climbing the ladder. They catch a break. They get traded. They go to different teams. They give up hockey at that point. Yeah. A lot of guys, when they hit 18, 19, and nothing's happened, they don't want to keep playing. And, I thought it was a great ceremony. I mean, it was cool for you to be there, be able to take a video. Maybe want to work on Jerry's speech making a little bit, but
yeah.
It was a bit of a struggle. But, I mean, it was good.
He's not in radio for any kind of sense
No.
of imagination. No. He was a vocal leader, let me tell you, though. He was actually a good leader.
I believe that.
And he had his performance on and off the ice for sure. And we had a big gathering up here at Icebreakers. Kudos to Jody Wilson, Mitch Wilson as well, and the staff here at Icebreakers for taking care of the Game Sports Show crew. Myself and Dustin Grondin that were here and part of the Game Sports Show, and Dane Hantro were also here part of the Game Sports Show, along with all of our friends and his family and also his wife's family, who did a fantastic job. We had a back area all blocked off. We enjoyed the action. Unfortunately, it was a loss, as I mentioned, but just an absolutely beautiful ceremony, and it was well taken care of by the Thunderbirds and Icebreakers. Now, speaking of the Thunderbirds, there's something coming up this weekend. It's called the Alumni Game. And if you haven't signed up for the Alumni Game, it's actually not too late. You know, we've had some goalie feedback. We haven't had 2 goalies really stamp in for sure. So we're trying to get some more kind of goalies that maybe can rotate or do something in terms of playing the game. We're still ironing out the rules. It seems like we're going to be doing some 3-on-3 potentially based on everyone getting ice time, having 9 guys a team, 10 guys a team, even 12. Depends if some more enroll. We've had a couple more enrollments today, which was awesome. You can email sales@SooThunderbirds.com or comment below or reach out to yours truly, David McCaig, on Facebook, or get my contact information from me as you can comment below, and I can sign you up. I can reach out to Trevor for you and get you signed up for that. But any goalies that want to play some hockey this weekend at 3:30, if you want to be a part of it, you actually don't have to be an alumni for the goalie. We're going to kind of bypass that. We know a lot of goalies that play for the Birds are actually out of town, and some of them unavailable. So a lot of them cannot play. Some of them may be able to play half game, whatever it may be. If you want to play this weekend, some good hour of ice time and get some good shots, get some quality players that actually still play hockey. Everyone that has signed up still plays hockey in the Mayor's Open League, or in terms of Coonties A-League, any kind of such with Men's League, or have just recently retired from pro hockey. So it'd be very good, exciting to watch. That'll be Saturday at 3:30. That'll be prior to the Soo Thunderbirds' final home game and final game of the season. Jamie, you going to come watch?
Yeah. What time?
3:30 Saturday.
Perfect.
One more time to remind the listeners. What time?
3:30, I think.
On when? Yeah.
Saturday.
On Saturday. Saturday. Make sure that is March the 2nd. You can come out, and then afterwards you can watch a very exciting border rivalry between the Soo Thunderbirds and also the Soo Eagles. And that's, again, Saturday, 7 o'clock. That's 3 times we've told you on here, and then 2 times I told you prior to that. So if you don't know the time, you got to clean your ears And if you want to know the talent that's on the ice, I'll let you know that too. But if you're an alumnus, do not hesitate to reach out. And we are looking to get some more additional goalies to do some rotating and get some more extra playing time there. The more goalies you get, maybe the more periods we can play and make it a bit more draft. We can make it more of a tournament style. There's more things we can do with the more players that sign up. Don't hesitate. Don't be shy. You know everybody there because you've played with them or just played hockey against them. Jamie, moving on. We talked about the Soo Thunderbirds. They play this upcoming week in terms of Espanola on Wednesday the 27th, which is tomorrow against Espanola, 7 o'clock here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. Friday, they play against the Sault Michigan Eagles at the Polar Stadium. Oh, that place had over almost 1,000 people last time they played each other. Polar Stadium is always a rockin'. They got the Polar Burgers. Literally love that atmosphere in Polar Stadium. So the Sioux Eagles play there at 7:30 against the Thunderbirds. Then obviously Saturday, as I mentioned, guess who the Thunderbirds play on Saturday on the 2nd? The Sioux Eagles. Mention that again. Then they play Wednesday, March the 6th against Blind River. That's going to be part of their makeup game. So that's their final home game, as I mentioned, Saturday, but their final game was their makeup game Wednesday in Blind River at 7 o'clock. So that's the upcoming schedule with the Sioux Thunderbirds. Transitioning with the Sioux Eagles. They had their game on Sunday postponed against Rayside Balfour. That's going to be postponed until next week, probably the same day as the Thunderbirds when they play against Blind River on the 6th, but that hasn't been official yet. Sioux Michigan, though, plays Friday against the Birds, Saturday against the Birds, as I mentioned, 7:30 and 7 o'clock respectively. They play Sunday in Elliott Lake. Now, the Sioux Eagles are looking to finish the season strong. You know, the Sioux Thunderbirds are regular season champs. They're division champs. They've already clinched a playoff berth, obviously 79 points, 39-11, 0-1. Going into tonight's action, the Eagles are 4 points behind the Rayside Balfour Canadians. They like to try to make some room to get a second seed. They are 4 points ahead of Blind River with a game in hand. They want to stay third in there so they can maybe try to move up or just have that better kind of positioning. But it's going to be very exciting for when the playoffs come. I'd like to see a Thunderbirds and Eagles second round or third round, but it seems like for that to be a second round matchup that they would have to lose. And I don't want to wish that upon the Eagles, obviously. Maybe they can meet in the division finals, which would be very exciting for hockey here in Sioux, Ontario, and Sioux, Michigan. Any questions with the NOJHL or the schedule with the Eagles and Birds? Like I said, I've said it a couple times, especially with the Thunderbirds, but don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Jamie Crew, or below with the Game Sports Show. We will give you all the updates that you need with the NOJHL. Now, one little shout out in terms of Sioux Today and reach out to other media outlets here in Sioux, Ontario. Some good articles in terms of the Sioux College Cougars. Okay, the Sioux College Cougars are getting all prepped for the Nationals. This team with Sioux College Cougars, you know, MVP was named to Ryan Benjamin. That's one thing I want to jump. It's 96 points that Ryan Benjamin had. And I have the honor of playing men's league with the guy on my Game Sports Show team that we have in the Mayor's Open. And I can tell you right now that this kid has hands that are absolutely phenomenal. And having 96 points is absolutely phenomenal. Like, you cannot even picture that in almost an NHL 19 putting your player on easy mode. Like, Vennerman is obviously above the competition there in terms of, but Sioux College is a very exciting team that has a chance to do extremely well in the Nationals tournament. So congratulations to Ryan Vennerman and to the successful season of the Sioux College Cougars, and we'll have some more reaction with Sioux College Cougars in the coming week or two, etc. We're actually hoping to get some more Sioux College Cougars on, including Ryan Vennerman, before the departure, or even if they're there in the Nationals, to the telephone. Good hockey program Sioux College has developed there, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've really turned it around. And I mean, it's new. I mean, they've changed leagues, and it's been. Yeah. But I don't know if anybody expected them to be doing as well as they have. So it's nice to see. I mean, it gives the school something to cheer for. I mean, small college, focus isn't on sports at all, and it's
not like the States.
No, very, very different. It's Canadian colleges it's a different animal, and it's the focus so much more is trades programs or like very specific programs. For us, it's business stuff, and then aviation is the big focus. So
yeah, aviation's huge.
It's awesome to see some of the athletic programs really starting to shine, and best of luck to them at the Nationals.
See, Mike Hall, coach of the Sioux College Cougars, and you can see right on the ACHA hockey site that the Cougars will have a chance to compete for the national championship. Number 1 ranking in the ACHA Division III North region. They clinched a berth in the tournament. The event is March 26th to the 30th in Fresco, Texas, near Dallas. That's where they get the challenge. So a month from today, all the way to go to Texas and Dallas, where it's going to be nice and warm. Mike Hall commented that he was extremely excited. You know, he led his team to 21-0-1 record against Division III competition and an overall 23-2-1 mark. Very impressive that Sioux College had, and just that roster is extremely deep. So as the upcoming nationals come around, we will have more reaction for the Sioux College Cougars. Now, sticking with that local hockey, quick before we go to break, we have Cora Colts hockey. You know, you had Arbor, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. I think it was actually 3 weeks ago on the edition that you can check out. They play against the St. Mary's Knights in the finals. They're down 2-1.
Best of 5.
Right now in the best of 5. Their next game is tomorrow night here at the John Rhodes. John Rhodes won on the old side, and the time of that game is 3:30. At 3:30. So, you know, when you leave work, come to the John Rhodes. Rhodes one to watch potentially. It might be the deciding game in the finals, or Cora Colts potentially have a chance to force a Game 5, as I know that's what Arbor has in his plans. Jamie, some thoughts about the finals, some reaction, and some additional promotion about Cora Colts high school hockey, as I know you're part of Cora Colts staff in terms of football, but also in terms of that game that they have to play against St. Mary's, big game, and St. Mary's also has a chance to win the trophy tomorrow.
Yeah, it's we'll see. You kind of get to see what kind of team you got when you're backed up against the wall and when you're deciding games. So they were able to sweep Cass 2-0 in their best of 3 in the semis. So they were able to take game 1. I mean, 1-0. It was a grind, and I talked to Greg right after the game, and he was like, "Man, it's going to be a long series battle back and forth." And then game 2, Mary's took 3-1. Tough game. I mean, Travis Johnson, their goalie. I mean, he plays football for me in the summer. He's a receiver for us and great athlete, and he stood on his head in that game. Really was making it hard, and then tough 3-2 loss last night for Cora. Credit to Mary's. I mean, it was a grind. Game could have gone either way. It was a rescheduled game. Unfortunately, they were supposed to play Monday, but anybody that was in Sault Ste. Marie noticed that there was a polar vortex outside. But it's tough going. So they rescheduled that to the McMeekin yesterday, and now we're looking at Game 4 here tomorrow night. That's Wednesday, February 27th, 3:30 p.m. John Rhodes 1. So hopefully Cora can push it to a Game 5. We'll see. If not, I mean, both teams are guaranteed a NOSA berth at this point. I mean, you do want that city championship trophy, though. That's the big one.
You do. You want that, and never over into that final buzzer. So Cora Colts will be coming out buzzing for sure. As we had some fans knocking on the window out here trying to get our attention and wave it out and giving them a little article that Peter Ricci wrote on the Sioux Star. And with high school hockey, 3:30 Rhodes 1 tomorrow, February the 27th. Game 4 for St. Mary's against Cora. St. Mary's up 2-1, has a chance to clinch the crown, or Cora can force a Game 5. Best of luck to both teams in terms of that game tomorrow. Jimmy, you and I are going to take a break. When we come back, Brad Coccimiglio is coming on the Game Sports Show. Obviously, he's a staff member of the show. He's a co-host of this show. He's going to be talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the Lake Superior State University Lakers. And then we saw part 3 of the show. We're going to have a little bit of a tease where you're going to be teasing a show that you're not in on Thursday. But, you know, I'll get your reaction. You're going to make some comments about some things, as we're going to have a very hefty show on Thursday. So we're going to tease some trade deadline reaction from here at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, the Twin Cities' only local, regional, and national sports show, the Game Sports Show. We're going to pay our bills, sip on some beers, listen to some commercials. And then we'll come back with the one and only Brad Coccimiglio. Don't go anywhere. The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show wants to thank its original home, partner, and sponsor since 2015, Sportscenter Bar and Grill, named the Soo's best sports bar for 3 years in a row. Sportscenter Bar and Grill is located on 624 Wellington Street West in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Make sure to come on down to Sportscenter to enjoy the great atmosphere with great cold beverages available, including those delicious Molson products. Don't forget about their famous 75-cent wing nights on Wednesdays. They're truly the best wings in town. Like and follow SportsCenter on Facebook at SportsCenter SSM. We look forward to seeing you today. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Soo's best sports bar.
This is Andy Frost, and this is the only regional sports show in the Twin Saults. This is the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Saults' only local, regional, and national sports show. You're listening to the show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or through Scott Nason YouTube channel. It may have also been directed here through one of our social media pages at the Game Sports Show on Facebook or at the Game Sports Show SSM on Instagram. Either way, we're in the second part of the tonight's show from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, and we have one of my panel members, a good-looking man, a nice hat on today. He's got his hair just flowing. He's dressed up nice. You know, he's been here since the beginning of 2017 with the show. The one and only writer for Soo Today, Sportsnet, and as I mentioned, staff member here on the Game Sports Show, Brad Coccimiglio. Brad, how you doing, sir?
I'm always doing well. Intros like that, I can't be doing poorly.
No, I try to up your intro each time, but that's probably not my best one, though. I don't think that's my best one.
It works. It works. I'm not going to say no to it.
See, every time I do an intro, I like looking at Jamie's face, and I just see the look and the shake. It's absolutely hilarious. But we're going to jump in and talk about here on this second part of the show. We're talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and we're talking about the LSSU Lakers. We're here as the Soo Thunderbirds are in action against the Blind River Beavers right now here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. You know, they have a couple more games till the end of the season. Their final game will be this upcoming Saturday against the Soo Eagles, as the alumni game will be that day as well. Yours truly taking part of that. Brad, are you going to be covering the alumni game by chance and writing a little sports article afterwards?
I don't know. I don't know. I've seen enough of you
Grubbing
over
for his
the years.
name in the paper already.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that phantom assist. Get
Well,
that phantom apple.
He got his name in the papers a lot when he played, but it was mostly in the transaction page.
Yeah, good. Yes.
I've been
Also,
you
you
know,
like
Da-
to talk,
yeah.
which is well documented.
Me?
David
Well
McCaig.
documented.
I don't talk a lot.
David
Do I?
McCaig has been traded from Blind River to the Soo Thunderbirds, from the Soo Thunderbirds to the Soo Eagles, from the Soo Eagles back to the Soo Thunderbirds, the Soo Thunderbirds, Blind River to the Superior League, I think. And
What does
then
that
back
say
to
about
Blind River.
your team chemistry in the locker room, though?
No, that
He's
wasn't
the Mike
a cancer.
Sillinger. He was the Mike
It was
Sillinger of the
Sillinger.
NOJHL.
I like that reference. You almost got it though. It was Beavers, Eagles, Eagles, Beavers, Beavers, Thunder Bay, Birds, back to Blind River. That's how everything went. And I got traded for myself in that kind of action too.
John McDonald.
I did.
John
Got traded for
McDonald.
myself, and two of them were free agent signings.
Wow.
Remember that. Two of them are free agents.
Wow.
I took my talents. I had the decision and everything.
Okay.
Just
Talents to Blind River.
Brad,
Talents to Sumesh.
yeah, I
Soo, Ontario.
I didn't realize that I had to really kind of hang up the skates potentially and just play fun hockey and maybe take a career in sports media like you. You know, I always
There are worse
wanted
things to do.
No, there's nothing better to do than to talk sports, especially with you guys. Okay, but Thunderbirds are playing right now here, but we're not going to be talking about the Thunderbirds at this portion of the show. I appreciate you coming up here. I know you're quite the busy man. This Icebreaker show is you and my show in terms of kind of how we just discuss a lot of local hockey. And in terms of LSSU and the Greyhounds, we've had a lot to talk about this year. In terms of LSSU, they did not have the best weekend last weekend when they played against Northern Michigan. They ended up losing 4-2 and 5-3 respectively. You know, and they were on the road in those games. the road record went from 12-2 to 12-4. They are now on a 2-game losing streak, but now are 20-10-2 is their record. They have games this weekend. The games this weekend that they play are at home against Ferris State Friday at 7 and Ferris State Saturday at 7 o'clock. And it'll be their last 2 regular season games before they are in action at the WCHA quarterfinals. Everything's to be announced with that in terms of their playoff schedule, so we can't really dissect that. But can you talk about LSSU's past weekend? What happened? How did Northern Michigan get the best of them?
Yeah, I mean, it's that's a situation where it's 2 teams battling for playoff positioning, and 2 important wins for Northern puts them, I believe it's 3 points ahead of Lake State in the standings now, going into the last weekend of the year. The good thing for Lake State is you're playing a Ferris team that's got the second worst record in the WCHA, so you're going into a home series, where you've struggled at times at home against one of the worst teams in the league. So if there's, you almost hate to say it, but if there's a time where you want to play a team like Ferris, it's right now. You're coming off a weekend where you got swept, and you're struggling at home going into the playoffs. So I mean, you also can't look ahead, right? I mean, it's Ferris. It's you're in a position where you're battling for home ice at least through round 1. Yeah. So there's still, if you're Lake State, there's still a ton to play for. You got to go out and and do your thing. I mean, that's a good Northern team. Don't get me wrong. That's a team that's sitting in the top 4 of the WCJ standings for a reason, right? So that's it's been a battle. That whole group atop the league standings right now is it's been tight. For the better part of the last 6-8 weeks. So, I mean, a tough weekend, but not something that this team can't overcome.
No, definitely. And see, now, one thing I want to look at, I know, Jamie, you can attest to this, is that you don't want to go into the playoffs after the last weekend losing to one of the lower-end teams in the league this year. You want to ride in there with momentum. They're still playing for placement in the standings, right? You still want to catch up to Northern. If Northern, you want to try to move up. You want to go into the playoffs with momentum. And if they play this weekend and don't have a weekend that they want to get to, that could put down the momentum a little bit potentially. These are also individuals that aren't young kids, but it's still the mental aspect of sports. So how important do you think this weekend would be for especially the mental end going into the playoffs? Or do you want them to maybe not rest their star guys, but maybe bring down the ice time on them a little bit to put down the risk of injury and give a full equal play in the lineup?
I mean, it depends. You got to get a gauge for your team. Everybody talks about momentum, and sure, it helps. I mean, anytime you're winning games helps. Yeah. That's never going to hurt you. But as long as you can learn from losses, I think you can get better. I mean, they have been bad at home, so it wouldn't be the worst thing to not. I mean, if you don't have home ice, who cares at that point? If you're not playing that well at home, more games away, it might be better.
Yeah, for real.
But it really just comes down to, can you get the guys focused and ready to go come playoff time? And at this point, you're going to have to upset people if you're going to make a run. Yeah. So, yeah, who cares at this point? I think you just ride it out, and hopefully we get some good support for the home games that we do have.
The upside for Lake State too is that they're battling with Northern, and Northern's got to play Michigan Tech the last weekend of the year. Michigan Tech's in that group, so Michigan Tech's in that group that they're all battling for positioning. So, I mean, the Lakers catch a break in terms of having the easier weekend. Yeah. But I mean, again, you still got to go out and win, right? There's the potential that Northern could go and sweep Michigan Tech. Like, it wouldn't be a crazy thought if Northern swept Tech or if Tech swept Northern. So, you're in a position where you're catching a bit of a break in terms of the way the schedule worked out. But I mean, you still got to go out and win the games.
Last time when Michigan Tech came to LSSU, that was a check, slash, and survive weekend back on the 16th, and Lake State swept that weekend, winning both games 3-1 before getting swept this weekend. So I'll say, with my own question, I've always been a fan of momentum. I feel like in terms of sport, you want to play each game like it's your last. If LSSU is up in a game 4-0 going into the second period, I'm a fan of giving the third and fourth line per se guys more ice time. Now, there's one coach that did that in the National Hockey League back in 2013 named Randy Carlisle when we were up 4-1 on Boston. The Maple Leafs were in Game 7, and we all know.
Shocked that you're bringing this up.
And you know how that all happens, man. That's a playoff game.
He hasn't thrown Jake Gardner
No.
Give it 5 minutes.
See, the thing is, you don't ever it's just not a playoff game, mind you. Okay, it's a different aspect, but I've always been a fan of giving that more ice time in the regular season game. So I've always been a firm believer of the momentum. So I think LSSU's got to go into this weekend, despite where Ferris State is, win both games, go into the playoffs hot, and improve that home record that they've had. Get that confidence at home, because as you just said, Jamie, they've been 500 at home. Why not win both games? Go 2 games above 500 at home this year. Get that little bit of confidence. Say, you know what, we can win on home ice just like we can win on the road. LSSU's had a great year. Very excited to see what they do in the playoffs. I feel like they can make a very deep run, and everybody here in Sault, Ontario and Sault can be excited to either travel over the border if you're Sault, Ontario, or close your door and drive to the rink if you're in Sault to watch LSSU play. Now, Brad, last thoughts with LSSU in terms of the playoffs. Okay, and we're going to have more of a full dissection when the playoffs come up with the schedule, with whom they're playing, etc. But what do you expect with LSSU in the playoffs? I know it all matters on who they play and where they are, but are you expecting LSSU to be big contenders in the playoffs this year, or are you feeling that this team is more of that dime in the rough team or could play more of a spoiler?
No, I mean, this is a team that could legitimately make a Western Collegiate run. I mean, this is a program that's, this is some of the best hockey this program's played in 10 years. At least, yeah. You have to go back. You have to go back 10, 12 years to have a team that's been nationally ranked as much as this year's team was. So, this is a team that's legit.
Is that when Sersman was there?
Yeah, it was around. Yeah, it was like 06,
Trotman
07.
And those guys,
it was around there. It would have been like their freshman years, give or take.
Yeah.
So this is a team. I mean, you've been competitive against Minnesota State, who's one of the best teams in the country.
Yes.
So that means you're a legit contender. If you're keeping with the good teams like that, that means that you're good enough to compete with those teams. So this is a team that could make a run. It's not going to be easy, like Jamie said. I mean, they're going to have to go upset City at some point during the playoffs. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Probably second round at this point.
Yeah. So I mean, you're going to have to probably upset some teams, but I mean, this is a team that's played well on the road. So I mean, they're more than comfortable playing on the road. So they're in a situation where they could go on a bit of a run here. It's something that certainly wouldn't shock me.
There you go. You heard it from the one only Brad Coccimiglio, LSSU. Going to be an exciting time come playoff time. Go and support them this weekend. Once again, they play at 7 o'clock both Friday and Saturday against Ferris State. Be their last regular season games before playoffs kick underway next weekend, which will be Friday, and all the times will be determined, and we'll have it here for you on the Game Sports Show in terms of the schedule and whom they'll be playing. Fellas, we're going to flip the script. We're going to go to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds now. The Greyhounds have some big games coming up within the next couple weeks. Got Saginaw a couple times. Got Sudbury in there. You have London, I believe, is the last game of this last week of the year. You have even Oshawa. And so you got some good games coming up, especially at home and this week. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, February 27th, 7 o'clock, the Hounds play the Saginaw Spirit at home. Friday, they play the Oshawa Generals, which will be at 7 o'clock as well. Then Sunday, they play against the Owen Sound Attack before they're on the road next Wednesday, March the 6th at 7 against Pelon and the Sudbury Wolves. So we're going to take it in just going into this past weekend, Brad, that just happened, and going into this weekend. There's some thoughts about that. Last weekend, the Soo Greyhounds played against the Sarnia Sting, winning 5-4 on Sunday. Friday against Kitchener, they lost 4-3. And then Thursday, as we were kind of discussing our Northern Superior edition last week, the Hounds won 4-2 against Windsor there. So just talk about those 3 games, the game that stood out to you most, Brad, and that what happened with that loss with Kitchener. It seems like Kitchener, when I watched on the television and watched the highlights, that Kitchener kind of had good control of the game over the Hounds in terms, especially being on home ice, a little bit of advantage there, it seemed. But what game really stuck out to you, and just all overall thoughts of the past 3 games before we talk about Saginaw on the Hounds tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, discipline was probably the biggest issue for the Greyhounds over the weekend. It's a team that they took a ton of penalties in that Sarnia game. and it was a bit of an issue. And I mean, John Dean basically said, "Hey, you know what? We were in a position where,
penalties.
yeah, that team was in a position where." It can cost them games, and it nearly did. Sarnia had 3 power play goals in that game, on Sunday afternoon. So, that's an issue. That's something that hasn't been a major problem for them this year. So I'm sure that's something that they can get cleaned up. Matty Villalta was great all weekend. He was really good in that game against Sarnia, but again, I mean that's a situation you don't want to.
You're talking about 18 minutes of minus hockey.
That's
hard.
And they went 3 for 9 on the power play. Like that's 33%. Quick math that Sarnia had success rate, which is if you want to put if any team was 33% on the power play, you're the upper threshold of the league per se. So if the Hounds are not going to play that discipline end, I'm sure that penalty killing was certainly addressed this week of practice by Coach John Dean a little bit, but also a discipline factor. You can't get into that penalty trouble. And one thing that sticks out to me in terms of Sarnia, statistically wise, 41-26 for faceoffs won. I look at that stat because of time on possession. Hounds won the game 5-4, but is that a deceiving stat?
I'm going to jump in on that because that's face-off numbers can be very deceiving at that level.
It's almost like plus minus.
And you know what? I mean, I don't know. I have my issues with plus minus to some extent. Yeah. My issue with the face-off stat is, and I actually had this chat with Sheldon Keefe when he was here, and that's a situation where it's a very gray area because I can win a face-off, but my team still doesn't get possession of the puck.
Yeah.
Because if I win a face-off to the sideboards and my winger loses a battle, I won that face-off, but we don't have possession of the puck.
No.
And that's where you get the issue with plus minus. Just to jump on that really quick, I could have just stepped on the ice and been on the ice for 10 seconds and not even participated in a play, but my team scores, therefore I'm a plus.
Yep. Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. If you step on, you could be a minus. So, I mean, that can be very, very deceiving. Sarnia did control the play in that game, no doubt. The face-off numbers, sometimes I question them. I do track my own.
A lot of that, too, when you have that many power plays.
Yeah.
You're talking about 9 face-offs at that point you're up a guy, at least 9 face-offs.
Yeah. See, I kind of when it comes to that statistical end, you have to really take consideration that stats are stats, right? If you're not looking at it from that end, like the big thing that really would stick out to me is the last time Sarnia was here last week, the Hounds outplayed them that entire game. It felt like the time on attack was tilted 95% to the Hounds' way, right? So I really feel like the Hounds' discipline needed to be controlled, and obviously with this past weekend going a total of 2-1 per se, if you want to consider Thursday being a weekend, 2-1 this weekend on that road trip is I feel pretty successful. But Brad, transitioning from past weekend, this week, Saginaw, I have said on the show that if Saginaw and the Hounds play each other in the second round of the playoffs, which might be a thing right now. That seems to be the lineup right now, unless the Hounds are able to pass London or Saginaw is able to pass London. We might be able to see a Hounds rematch against Saginaw. I know Saginaw is a little bit excited to play us because of last year, and the hot dogs comments will all come back in terms of that. But what are you expecting from the Hounds tomorrow night? And what are you expecting from the Hounds this weekend when they play against Oshawa on Friday and then they play at Owen Sound on Sunday?
It's another tough weekend. It's another tough stretch. Saginaw's sitting in second place in the West for a reason. That's a team that loaded up at the deadline. And, Oshawa's a team that made some moves. They moved Jack Stadnicka and Matt Brassard. But that's an Oshawa team that's pretty solid as well too, and they're a team that's certainly not going to be an easy night. The Owen Sound game. Owen Sound's a team that unloaded. They moved Nick Suzuki. They moved Marcus Phillips. So that's a team that's in full on rebuild. At this point at Major Junior, there are no easy games. So, I'm not going to sit here and say that Owen Sound game is going to be an easy game, because by no means is it going to be. The last stretch of the year, you play Saginaw 3 times, you play London once, the last weekend of the year. I mean, the OHL's Western Conference could be decided on the last weekend of the regular season, if only because the Greyhounds have to face the two teams they're battling.
And then London
the two teams they're battling with for top spot. So, it's going to be a tough stretch. If you're the Greyhounds, it's going to be a massively tough stretch. And, this isn't going to be an easy weekend by any means. And, I look at Saginaw, and Saginaw's a team that, if they get the goaltending, they're going to be very tough to beat in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are. And right now, you have London, who's 1, the Hounds that are 2. The Hounds are 4 points behind London. Saginaw's 2 points behind the Hounds. Guelph looks to kind of be out of that third, second place race a little bit. 9 points by Saginaw, 11 behind the Hounds, and total of 15 behind London. So you have the Guelph Storm that's probably going to, if the playoffs went to the second round, everyone's going to see London, Guelph, Hounds, Saginaw. It's almost kind of what it looks like. But like you said, and we're going to talk about that last weekend on the show when it gets closer to that, but they got Saginaw, then they got London, then they got Saginaw on that last weekend for the final 3 games, which is absolutely huge. 1 at home, 1 on the road in terms of Saginaw, and then London's here in the Soo. Can the Hounds catch up to London and get first place? Obviously they can, statistically wise, but realistically, can the Hounds finish ahead of London, or are we going to see a potential second round match preview with the second, third seed tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, you're worried about what you can do, and it's just go out there and basically deal with what you're given. Conceivably, could they catch London? Yes. Do I think they're going to? Probably not. I think you're in a position where you're probably battling to stay in second. I think the bigger focus is
home ice, right?
Yeah, I think the bigger focus is worry about winning your division and let the conference stuff play out. Let the conference battle with London play out. You can do yourself a ton of favors just by winning 2 of 3 against Saginaw the rest of the year. If they win 2 of 3 against Saginaw the rest of the year, they probably should win the division.
And you know what? I think winning the division would be huge, and having that home ice would be huge, especially at the playoff atmosphere that we had last year. I really liked the atmosphere, and I'm hoping we can have that atmosphere at the GFL Memorial Gardens for the rest of the season. When we had a game last Tuesday in Sarnia, when Sarnia would visit the town, I know it's not Saginaw Spirit or London Knights by any means, but people in the Soo, get your asses in your cars and drive down the GFL Memorial Gardens. Watch the Hounds. Come down the rink, watch the Thunderbirds. Watch LSSU, whatever it takes. We've got some good hockey here locally. And now, one point I want to bring to the both of you before we let you go, Braxton. We got to go cover the Thunderbird game for the third period. Andy Frost was on the show last week, and he mentioned kind of an interesting comment saying with Morgan Frost that when he came into this year, Morgan never said, Andy kind of saw it because of the media that was given with the Hounds, that they were not expected to do what they've been doing this year, the Hounds. Okay, and Morgan has not said that. He didn't need to say that and anything of such. And I'm sure Morgan is very happy that he stayed, because I know in his head he probably thought he was maybe getting traded at the deadline, as rumors were absolutely swirling in the Soo with that. But Jamie, you first, then Brad, or just kind of roundtable here with it. Do you think that the Hounds have really overachieved this year, or based on the roster that they have, did maybe people underestimate the Hounds?
Yeah, I could go the under. I mean, we're all biased. I mean, we're here. We see them all the time. We're always going to root for the guys. But, you still got a lot of draft picks. You got a lot of guys. We just lost seven guys, 7 studs last year. But here's a big thing. You bring back your goalie, who's one of the top guys in the league. You still got a number 1 D guy. You still
Frost.
Yeah, you still have a couple of big guns up front. So, and a lot of our young guys have played well. We've had a couple of European guys come in and
Yarmir is a big pickup.
Do the job. I think Sandbrook has played significantly better this year than he did last year. I think he was coming in after the trade at the deadline. I mean, things are weird in junior, but no, I think they've overachieved. I think everybody was like, okay, last year was the year. Yeah. Everybody was full bandwagon that wasn't a diehard Hounds fan. And then it just didn't happen, so people were kind of off the gas a little bit. I know I was one of them. I mean, but it's still a competitive team, and it's junior hockey. Literally anything can happen.
Anything. Brad?
I admit I expected them to be competitive. I also admit they've well exceeded my expectations. I fully admit, and I've told this to many people, I fully admit that I figured they were going to be a 6 or a 7 seed this year. I really did. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
we said that at the beginning of the year.
As far as I'm concerned, they, when it comes to my expectations, absolutely they've overachieved. But I mean, they've got a group that believes, and they've got a group of young kids that have come in and played really well. And when you get that, it's scary to think what can happen.
It also, I mean, the thing with junior guys too is like, look at a guy like Laguerre. I think he put on 5 inches between this year and last year. Put on like 30 pounds. That's what happens. Guys grow, they get bigger, they find the gym finally. It just clicks. Well, that's what happens though. Like, it's part of the deal.
Yeah. I think some guys have I think some guys have developed quicker than anticipated, and when that happens, I mean, it's it goes a long way in terms of increasing the competitiveness of your hockey club.
So speaking of competitiveness, what other reason to get out to watch too? That's all I got to say. We got big games this week. As I mentioned, the Hounds, Saginaw tomorrow at 7 o'clock. They have Oshawa Friday and Owen Sound on Sunday. The Game Sports Show will be there. Brad Coccimiglio will be there too. Of course, you can see the beautiful Brad Coccimiglio and the crew of the game, and just ensure that you're going to be entertained in terms of this game with the Saginaw and the Hounds and for the rest of the weekend and going towards the end of the year. Brad, I'll let you go. I appreciate you taking the time to come up here, my friend. We'll be in connection this weekend and going into next week for next week's edition.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Of course, all the time, my friend. We're going to let Brad slip out the door and go back down to watch the Thunderbirds, and I expect Brad to text me some comments on how the rest of the Thunderbird game goes. Jamie and I still got one more part of the show for about 5 to 7 minutes that we're going to bring to us, a little teaser for Thursday night's edition of the Game Sports Show from Northern Superior Brewing Company. We're going to hear from our sponsors. Do not go anywhere. The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Play Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
The Wicked Sister, Soo, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor. Ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareables, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Soo, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Cities' only local, regional, and national sports show. The one and only Jamie Antonello here alongside yours truly, David McCaig from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. As Jamie, I just turned a little bit and my back just cracked. As we discussed when I picked you up on the way here, I played in a charity tournament this weekend. I decided to use my speed and go around somebody and get tripped. And I went back first into the boards and played the game after that. And it was difficult to play. And it turns out I have some joint issues, some back issues. X-rays came back negative, thank God, no cracked anything. But I do have a lot of issues standing and walking right now. But we have a big weekend coming up with the alumni game, and I also have 2 games in the Mayor's League this week, so I'm trying to feel good. But, Jamie, my back has been cracking as I've been moving a lot here. It hurts, my man. It hurts.
I noticed you weren't advertising your busted back when we were talking about the alumni game, though. You're going to be able to make it in for that.
I'm going to take some cortisone shots and some needles.
This isn't the pros.
I'm going to take some needles in the old back and just steroid the back out so I can make sure I play. And then I'll wake up on Sunday morning absolutely crippled.
I mean, beer league hero. Look at you. Look at you.
No, that's not me. That's Dustin Grondin, the Sports' own beer league hero. Bar South, I like to call him. DG40 going bar south for takeoff. But we got something to talk about here. Enough about the Game Sports Show's crew and glory days and men's league and my broken back, quote unquote. I'm not broken. We are going to do a little roundtable discussion, tease it, if you will, for our Thursday edition from Northern Superior Brewing Company. The NHL trade deadline was yesterday. Okay, and I'm sorry, I know my manager or boss or some people at the hospital are going to hear this, but when I was doing my work, I had the earphones plugged in. Usually people have music plugged in. No, I had the trade deadline streaming. And I was sitting there not expecting a splash from the Maple Leafs or even a big splash in general.
Anything?
Or not much from them, and I was expecting a big splash from the Ottawa Senators, from moving guys out.
Well, they didn't disappoint you.
They didn't. Las Vegas, I did not have pegged to make that trade for Mark Stone.
Let alone sign him.
Let alone sign him to an 8-year, $9 million contract, which also scares me because Mitch Marner's due, and who says Mark Stone's better than Mitch Marner?
I don't think anybody.
No. So, again, Mitch Marner's licking his chops. So there's a lot of implications that happen at that deadline. Now, I know Leaf fans are upset. I know me being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, but here having a sports show, we can't be too biased. Depends on what segment we're doing, however. But I'll say right now that I was surprised more moves that happened. In particular, that Wayne Simmons goes for Ryan Hartman in a 4th-round pick that could be a 3rd. And Hartman has the same amount of points as Connor Brown. And Connor Brown has term. Connor Brown has more potential, I feel. And how Dubas didn't throw Brown and an actual 3rd in that trade and even a conditional 4th on top of that is what kind of upsets me. I don't know if Philly just said, fuck you to Toronto and said, nah, we're just going to trade him to where we want to put him. We don't want him to go to Toronto. Maybe that is. Maybe Dubas did try. Maybe that Kevin Cheveldayoff, when he got rid of that 1st-round pick for Kevin Hayes, which was a big surprise, maybe he did try to get Mark Stone. But then he looked at Roslovic and said, I'm not getting rid of my future. The Jets have a good future and a good team right now, so why change that? There's a lot of things that did happen at that deadline. Players got moved. Columbus was extremely horny to make moves for some reason. Duchesne, Dzingel before the deadline. The Adam McQuaid trade, I also said, what the fuck? 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick for McQuaid. Toronto needs a right-hand defenseman with some edge. Columbus gets him. I don't know where, if people were just saying, screw you to Toronto, okay, on anything. If Dubas was trying, apparently he was kicking tires, but prices were too high. But based on the trades that happened, I don't think the McQuaid price was high, nor was Wayne Simmons. When you look at Toronto, look at a team that needs that power forward, that grit from the back end and the forwards. You could also trade O'Shea Ganoff straight up for Adam McQuaid, in my opinion. You look at the Ottawa Senators. There's videos of Malnick coming out, and I feel bad for Ottawa fans. You look at Vegas, the welcoming that Mark Stone got in Vegas was absolutely amazing from the airport today. Kevin Hayes, very excited to be a Jet. He's very excited to be there. I think it's a great fit.
That's a full load up.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Obviously, the team that's all in to win is Columbus and the Jets, obviously, and Nashville. Toronto is, I think, all in to win, but they just didn't make those moves. Yeah. Boston, Johansson, they made some moves there. Tampa Bay, did they make moves? Nope. Do they need to? Nope.
Probably not.
they don't really need to.
98 points.
100.
And there's 20 games left?
Yeah.
That's retarded. I'm sorry. I mean, that word's not allowed.
Yeah, it's
holy fuck.
Yeah. Uncensored.
When's the last time that happened? Like Gretzky and the Oilers?
I can't recall.
Jeez.
Nikita Kucherov had 100 points in 62 fucking games.
That's crazy. Crazy.
I don't understand.
Nobody does it. That's a 1.8 point per game.
Wow,
point per
your
game.
exact stats.
I don't know if that's the exact, but it's close. But when has anybody been over 1.5 points per game in the last 10 years?
It's modern era. This is absolutely astonishing.
Unbelievable.
And I really think with Tampa Bay being in the position they are, they didn't have to make moves. I feel
Here's the
teams.
issue, though, is Tampa Bay is going to struggle to keep everybody.
Oh God, Braden Point's a restricted free agent.
You're
not keeping Braden Point.
What do they have? They have 5 UFAs coming up. 5 big UFAs. So
UFAs,
there's a big thing for Toronto, though. I think.
The RFAs, but here's the big thing for Toronto. Braden Point's an RFA. Patrick Laine is an RFA. Mitch Marner's an RFA. The RFAs this year are just what the fuck. You don't see that often. Okay.
No.
But if a team,
it's that draft class, right? That was a big draft class.
It was. But if you're a team that's looking to sign these guys. If I'm Toronto, if you offer someone Mitch Marner, let's go to Mitch Marner because we talk a lot about Marner. If he goes 9.99, that's 2 first rounders, or 3. Let me get the exact compensation here actually for Mitch Marner. But if my whole point is, if you sign Mitch Marner to anything above 10, is my whole point. You're getting 4 first round picks. If you have 1 penny over $10 million. Or in that 10.1 area, okay, you have to give a total of 4 first-round picks. And it's 10.148 to be exact. So if a team goes 10.13, you're in the threshold of 2 first, 1 second, 1 third.
All right, you got to explain this to me more.
Okay, so. If a team
help the listeners.
Okay, so let's say the Detroit Red Wings, who apparently are going to be active on offer sheets, want to throw Marner, Laine, Point an offer sheet. If Ken Holland says, I want to give Mitch Marner a $9 million offer sheet, and he accepts it, if Toronto does not match it, if they say no, Toronto gets compensated with 2 firsts, 1 second, and 1 third.
Where do these picks come from?
They come from Detroit. Oh. And you need to have the picks to do it.
Oh, okay.
You need to have those first. You need to have yours. You can't have.
So this is just built into the CBA based on RFAs.
Exactly. Okay. So if you need to have your picks. Like if Detroit and Chicago flopped first round picks, Detroit's ineligible to do that because you need to have your own first round pick.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so now let's say Detroit says to Marner, we want to give you 10.5. They owe Toronto.
Can't afford that.
They can't, but if they don't, they get 4 first round picks from Detroit.
Whew.
So
you're talking consecutive years.
Exactly. So now that's what Toronto did with Kessel.
Are those guaranteed or are they conditional?
Those are all guaranteed picks.
Oh my God.
So now if you're Detroit, Toronto's expecting to sign Marner for 10, right? Let's give a number. That's the number that people have thrown as 10. Okay.
Well, based on Stone's 9.5.
Yeah, you got to think around 9.5, 10. It has to be. So
unless he's taken enormous
pay cut, unless it's salary, unless Dubas finds a way with the cap and does something, which he might do.
Because okay, so when you're an RFA,
yeah,
you can't. So let's say Detroit offers you 9.
Yeah.
You as a player, can you turn that down?
Yes, but
but he won't.
He probably won't. But
no, because
or maybe he will. He might.
I'd be surprised.
Laine, I don't think Laine would or Point would. Okay, I think they wouldn't. I think Mitch would turn it down because he can get $10 million, right? You have Toronto that says, okay, they're expecting to pay 10. So they'll match anything. But let's say they say to Detroit, go ahead. Take them. 4 first-round picks. You know what Toronto could do with those 4 first-round picks? Especially if Detroit struggles the next couple of years. So those are some high draft picks.
Yeah, you're talking kind of a poker game of moves here because
that's why Detroit will.
If you're Dubas, you keep matching
exactly
until a team goes over 10.
Yep.
forcing that.
But as soon as you match, it's done. You sign the player.
Okay.
So if Detroit comes in $8 million or 8 years at 10 per, $80 million, and Toronto says I'll match it, so they match it, he's automatically a Leaf. He can't go anywhere.
Right. Okay, I got you. Yeah, because you're restricted.
You're restricted. And if anyone wants to throw Marner under 10, Toronto's matching that. So I'm not even worried about that. If anyone wants to go over 10 and give him 11 and give us 4 first-round picks, I say us if I'm speaking in Dubas's perspective, it'd be hard for him to match that. Not because of the cap. You're sitting there going, 4 first-round picks for a team that might struggle. But I'm not saying that they're going to do that for Marner. I think the Leafs are going to lock up Marner, just like I think the Jets are going to lock up Laine. But Braden Point's very interesting. Tampa Bay has room for cap, but if they sign Point, they're throwing away a lot of their cap space.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to dangle him in a draft, or maybe that's a player Detroit targets. And that's where you can go to Tampa and be like, because Toronto can afford $10 million, right? They can afford that. That's it. So can Winnipeg. But Tampa can't afford a cent above 6. So you can go to Braden Point and be like, here's 8. Tampa can't do it.
True, you're right.
There's ways where you can cap fuck teams in a lot of ways. If you want to be Phoenix, you want to be the Rangers, you want to be the Oilers. Let's not forget about the Edmonton Oilers. They have contracts. If they move out those contracts, they got a lot of cap space, which is freaking scary, and they have a lot of picks, right? Why not say let's throw an offer sheet at Braden Point or Laine? Imagine Laine playing with McDavid. Let's just say. I'm just saying. I'm not saying those are going to happen. These are a lot of stipulations. Okay, now let's rewind this back to the deadline because we're talking about that. The Leafs have a window to win, and they can win now, next year, the year after. I think if they get past Boston this year, they have someone called Tampa Bay waiting for them in the second round, which is very scary. But let's look at the stats. Toronto's outshot Tampa in each game they played and beaten them more than Tampa's beat them. Playoff hockey's a different cookie, though.
100%, I agree.
100%. But now, who's successful against Toronto in the regular season? Boston.
Yeah, that's who they're going to play in the first round.
And who are they successful against in the playoffs? Boston is where they're good against Toronto because they're tougher. Tampa, though, has speed to beat that toughness. That toughness that Boston has is not like a Wayne Simmons speedy toughness. It's a toughness that if you get past Chara in the corner, you're walking on in front and scoring. And as soon as you get Tuukka Rask off his game, he yells at his teammates. Your morale's down. Toronto just can't handle a momentum shift. They come out of the gates shitty in a lot of recent games, but look at that 4-1 blown lead. They play the same freaking way. If they're up 3-1 and a team scores with 3 minutes left in the Garden, Toronto's momentum is just, it's gone. Like they kind of, there's teams that can handle that adversity. That's where Tampa has the upper hand on both of them. Maturity, experience, and exquisite talent. That team Tampa has is very special.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, we talk about it literally every there's it's all right. So we'll talk about major sports. I'm going to rewind here to make a point. Talk about major sports. Baseball. What's the one position in baseball that can make an absolute game-changing difference? Pitching. Basketball. Is there really one? But yes, you have star players, but you come to football. What's the one position that can make an absolute game-changing difference? If you don't have somebody elite at that position, it's very hard to win a Super Bowl. Quarterback. Hockey's the same thing when it comes to goalies. We see it all the time. Teams will make it to the conference finals because their goalie gets crazy hot. And whether or not it keeps going, but I can't remember. Can you remember the last time that a so-so goaltender won the cup? Don't say Corey Crawford because he'll get really mad at you. But he played really well in those playoff runs. I'll agree. He's not a stud. Like you wouldn't throw him in the upper echelon top 5.
Is not. He's good.
Holtby's good. Holtby's very good.
Holtby's very good. So he just struggled a bit last year, but then in the playoffs he was revived.
Yeah.
Just like this year, struggled a little bit. And now he's back, right?
Because even look in recent years, you're talking. I mean, I'm going back a little bit, but when the LA Kings went on those magical runs, being 8 seeds, quick. It's one of the best goalies in the league at the time.
With Boston.
That's it, right? Like you're talking about elite goaltending.
Cam Ward was good.
Bottom line, can Freddie Anderson? He's playing good. Don't get me wrong. Can he bring his game up another level? Because I think that's what it's going to take for Toronto to win.
Can he outplay Vasilevsky? I'm not worried about him outplaying Rask. It's Vasilevsky right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his. I think he can be even, if not better, than Rask. Rask is also getting older, but Vasilevsky's wild. That's a different cookie.
He's sick.
Defensively, Boston has a little bit of an edge in terms of that two-way style. But Muzzin almost equals it a little bit, but Boston's better defensively. Okay, we know that already.
This Toronto team is built
offensively.
You got to score
better offense.
You got to score 4 times a game.
And if you play Boston, you got to shut down somebody named David Pasternak. And that first line is just
filthy.
It's
not cool.
It's not. It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
But that's where we're talking about the trade deadline. General, it's all referred to as that. Toronto didn't upgrade in that area. Winnipeg upgraded. Nashville had to upgrade. Vegas won in big upgrades. The Western Conference loaded up big time. The East was kind of stand put. They didn't do as much.
And my points on Toronto and Dubas not doing anything. I think he believes in his team, and that can help. I mean, here's the thing: you got Babcock. That's big. You're one of the best coaches in history, arguably. Yeah. I mean, there's a long line of historical coaches in the NHL. Babcock is climbing his way up that ladder. He wins a cup or two in Toronto. He's pretty much cemented himself as one of the best ever. But you play a certain style of hockey. You have some veterans like Marleau that you're going to have to lean on. They're going to have to help you through this playoff run.
Yep.
Freddie Anderson has to play well, and you're just going to have to score.
Yep. And
power play, goaltending. I think those are going to be the two biggest things if Toronto wins the cup or goes on a run.
And when it comes down to the whole deadline in general, teams added that had to. Toronto didn't, and people are going to be skeptical. But
let's talk about the Western Conference a little bit.
Yeah, the Western Conference made those moves that they had to. Yeah. Vegas fucking loaded up. That trade with Mark Stone, I'm going to tell you right now, that guy is playoff hockey.
Filthy.
Two-way, big body.
He's gotten way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
And I can't wait to talk to Colin Miller about his acquisition, too, which we hope to have him on within the next week or two. We're trying to iron everything out. It's been a busy couple of weeks for Colin, especially in terms of rumors flying with him before. Obviously, nothing happened with him going. I'm sure he's pretty relieved because of the run that they had.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I was going to be surprised if they just signed him in the offseason.
3.8, that's it for his talent. Yeah, so, maybe just a little wake-up call from Gerard Gallant. Not sure. I think Millsy has been playing very well this year despite. But again,
he's not playing as well. He's been hurt, though. And he's suspended. He hasn't played a full season this year, so it's tough, but...
Again, he's effective when he's out there.
Here's the big thing with that Vegas team. You had a big playoff run that you can lean on now.
And Stone just re-signed for 8 years.
It's crazy.
He's 26. He's going to be there until he's 34 years old. Mm-hmm. Vegas has Pacioretty there locked up.
Do you think they overpaid on him?
Here's the thing with Vegas. They had a lot of first-round picks in that draft that they had. Glass.
Well, and they traded like crazy.
They did.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of prospects, a lot still coming up.
One of their best is gone now.
But here's the thing. Tuck, 5 years. Marchessault, 5 years. I think actually Tuck might be more, if I might be 7. I don't someone might correct me on that. Pacioretty, over a handful of years. Stone, 8. Stastny's there for 3.
Millsy's
got 3 more. Schmidt's locked up for 5, I believe is what it is. Marc-Andre Fleury's for 3. You're
talking Fleury almost being done at that point.
Yeah. Then Malcolm Subban, you hope works out because he's been doing well. Yep. They have a nucleus, not just a core, nucleus locked up for a whole 2 lines, almost of people locked up in Vegas.
How big are the expectations for Seattle now?
Oh God. Seattle's either licking their chops or they're pissing their boots.
Gonna, be off the bandwagon.
Yeah, there's going to be no bandwagon. And that's where I think Vegas is scary for years to come. And I think they loved how their draft went.
Here's the thing. You've talked to Millsy, and I know we're way off topic from trade deadline, but probably what you want being that Thursday's going to be the big show on it. Yeah. You talk to Millsy, and he says, that was a unique group of guys that all bought into this is our second and potentially last chance for a lot of guys. And they hung on to that, and it was just gritty, work ethic, toughness, basically a bunch of second and third line guys and guys that were considered 4th and 5th D-man for every team.
I'm going to tell Sens fans right now.
Because really talking Fleury was the big guy from that.
Yeah, he was. And I'll tell you right now, Brandstrom, Sens fans, be excited.
He's legit, man.
Okay.
If anybody watched the World Junior, they know how
you have Shabak, Kachuk, Brandstrom. I understand.
It.
I know. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. Management's going to change eventually.
Your ownership's awful.
Yeah, things are going to change there. I hope for their sake. If not, they're going to be relocating that team. I'll tell you right now, that location. But we're talking about the West. Two more teams to talk about in terms of the West. The Jets matched. I think they did well. They didn't overpay. They said no. Cheveldayoff was very cautious. I like Cheveldayoff for that. Always doubt him for his trade deadline acquisitions. But guess what? He made a move. Nashville, Simmons. What the fuck? How?
For peanuts.
Literally.
That's big for Nashville, I think.
Wayne Simmons in Smashville? Holy shit. That's a good team, man. That is just by getting Simmons and then that defensive crew that they have is absolutely stellar.
It's a good team.
Calgary stayed a little put.
Nashville's turning into a hockey town, man.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I know they have been for a few years now. But
with Calgary, don't fix what ain't broken.
I can't believe, the year
Don't fix it. Exactly. I see the perspective with Calgary. They weren't expected to do this year. Almost like the Hounds.
No, so they're like, why the fuck would I touch this?
Why touch anything?
Yeah.
Same with Toronto.
Right.
It's sort of
Right.
working. It had
Right.
some ups and downs, but
you're in a great playoff spot.
you're good. It is. Boston's just always adding somehow. I don't get it. I don't really get how they're adding, but they do well at that. So that's worked for them. Dubas has said it works for him not to add, and Vegas said they needed to add because they knew they had to get over that hump to beat Winnipeg and Nashville, and I think they did. So in terms of the West, the Western Conference won the trade deadline.
Yeah, in the West too, you see, because when you're as a GM, the only way you find out what the value or what the asking price is, you got to call. So as a GM, you're stupid to not call as much as possible. You don't have to do everything. So when Dubas says he called everybody, I believe that because that's part of your due diligence. You're talking about the craziest day, basically, of your calendar year, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. And
trade deadline day is one of the craziest days, and then other than free agent signing in the summer, those are your two really busy times other than the draft. So there's a lot going on there, and so I believe that the West guys, you kind of got to see, they had in their mind okay, these are some of the moves we can make.
It's a good thing for Toronto.
What, that the West is going to beat itself up, and then
Exactly.
Well,
I'm not even talking cup. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah.
That's what happened to Washington.
That's kind of what happened to Washington.
The games this upcoming rest of the season, Ottawa unloaded. I'm going to see the Leafs in Ottawa on the 16th in Ottawa.
Please,
I don't get to see anybody.
Don't lose.
Yeah, for real, right? That's what you're saying. But you have some of the talent from the East that transitions over to the West now. Doesn't make games easier. Philly's still a hot team.
The NHL's falling in the NBA.
But I kind of really feel that the East didn't really get a lot stronger, but it is still the stronger. I still think it's the stronger conference. I still think it is, just based on performance, what I see this year, but they're also two different conferences in terms of style of play.
Here's the thing, though, is with the current playoff format in the NHL, which came in to be in 2015, we're going on 4 years of it now.
Yeah.
It builds itself for excitement through every round. That's the whole point of it, right? Is because you get the 2 and the 3 seed in each conference playing each other right off the bat. So
some people don't like that.
A lot of people don't like it.
Washington, Pittsburgh.
A lot of people don't like it because you get first round knockouts that you're like, whoa, what would that happen?
Tampa might play the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. Now you're telling me if Toronto plays Boston, I'll tell you right now, whoever team leaves that series will be fucking beat up. Tampa or Toronto, Boston, I get it, but Tampa, you don't think Tampa's gonna have a hard first round? What if they play Columbus? Columbus is not a joke anymore.
You know what scares me about Columbus more than anything is Ports is calm.
Oh God, Columbus.
How scary! Okay,
they looked at their division. They looked at their division and said, "The fucking Islanders are in first place." No offense to the Islanders.
Like Calgary though, it's like
another what the hell? Good? Yeah, exactly.
What's happening?
Okay, and then who are the Islanders going to play first round? Pittsburgh, maybe Columbus. That's why Columbus looked at their division and said, "We have a chance to win our division and get to the second, third round." That means more butts in the seats, means more money, more attraction to the team. I get it.
Columbus is
I'm telling you, Columbus will be.
Here's the thing, though: is that Columbus is a good market.
It is.
People want to players like living there.
I like Columbus. I think
Not
it might be.
Vegas,
I like
I
think they're coming out of the Metropolitan. I'm not saying they're going to win the Metropolitan, but I'm saying that they might in the playoffs be the team to come out of the Metropolitan. But if they finish in a wild card spot, they won't really come in the Metropolitan because it'll be placed if they cross over. They cross over. It depends how the playoffs go, essentially. But again, Western Conference, we were saying quick to wrap up everything and wrap the show because originally it's supposed to be 7 minutes. We're at 24 some now. That's just the way things go.
Par for the course.
Yeah, the Western Conference won the trade deadline, but the East I still think is still the superior conference in terms of just that offensive output. But Vegas, Winnipeg, and Nashville get to beat the fuck out of each other, and San Jose. They get to beat the hell out of each other to get to that playoffs and get through it. Whoever gets to that cup final is going to absolutely be beaten up. Let me tell you right now, and same with the East. It's going to be a very good, exciting playoffs. Very excited to see what happens in it for the utmost for sure. Myself, Dane, and Justin have a full dissection of the trade deadline. Me and Jamie talked about it briefly here. We just talked a little trade deadline stuff and also just some offer sheet implications. Had to do some education on my end for you, Jamie, there for that, which is good.
I appreciate that.
I like that. I like giving that. We branched off some conversation. And you came here tonight on call. As I always have you on call. I'm very happy you're able to come and join myself and also when Brad joined us here. So I want to say thanks to Brad. I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, who is our board operator tonight as well. The staff here at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. Jody Wilson, Mitch Wilson, and crew. Myself and Dane and Justin will be at Northern on Thursday. We have the night off from Sportscenter tomorrow, back next week. We have the night off at the Wicked Sister this past Monday. We'll be back next week. We'll be here at Icebreakers next Tuesday next week. We're back.
Lots of local playoff hockey.
Yes, a lot of things coming up. Make sure you X and cross off or circle, whatever the hell you do, your calendars for all the sports. If you have any questions, you can reach out to myself and Jamie, especially Cora Colts, 3:30 tomorrow at the John Rhodes Game 4.
If Cora wins, forcing Game 5, which will be Friday, 3:30, John Rhodes 1.
Yep, and then if they lose, however,
then you're looking
at St. Mary's
be city champs, and then you're looking at NASA upcoming the following weekend.
Exactly. Good luck to both teams there. Good luck to Thunderbirds this weekend. Good luck to the Hounds. Good luck to LSSU. Good luck to all the local teams. Also, good luck to the T-Birds alumni this Saturday. Wonder if there's going to be gas masks or beer behind the bench. Just kidding, Thunderbirds. I know you're not going to do that.
Make sure you hit Dave.
Yeah, make sure you hit my back. Knock me out for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're a goalie, please reach out. We'd like to get some more tennies to come out, alumni or not, because I know goalies are very slim pickings coming in Sault Ste. Marie, but there's never slim pickings when it comes to players. We have a lot of talent here in this city, lots and lots of former hockey players. If you are a former Thunderbird, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Trevor Zachary sales at SooThunderbirds.com. Jimmy, thanks for coming by tonight, my friend, though.
Absolutely, buddy.
I had the night off tomorrow, but I didn't get you the night off this week. You know,
No,
I put that vacation back in your bank.
Thanks, man.
Unpaid vacation.
You bought the beer tonight, though, so I'm all right.
I did. So now we'll be at Northern on Thursday. And listeners, until Thursday, we'll be live at Northern Superior at 7:15. Myself, Dane, Justin. I'm reminding you, keep your stick on the ice. Swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.